Have you ever been in a company meeting, maybe just looking around your organization, and you get this quiet little alarm bell ringing,
Hmm.
like a gut feeling, perhaps? A sense that maybe things aren't quite moving right, or maybe you're worrying if your company is, really built for what's coming?
Yeah, that's a common feeling these days.
Right. And in these really dynamic times, that feeling, it isn't just random anxiety, it's often a signal.
Uh,
So today, we're diving deep into that question. It's crucial for anyone navigating their career or, frankly, leading a team.
what makes a company likely to struggle?
Exactly. What are those telltale signs, the characteristics of companies that might struggle or maybe even, disappear down the line?
That's a critical question.
Our mission today really is to give you a kind of radar. We want to pinpoint the red flags, those signs, sometimes subtle, sometimes really obvious in the culture and how things operate, that basically scream,
Look out.
yeah, time to push for change, or maybe think about heading for the door. But this isn't about panic. It's about getting clarity.
Understanding the landscape.
Right. So you can find or maybe help build an environment where you can actually thrive, spotting those companies that won't just fade away.
And we've got some really fascinating insights on this. It's based on an expert perspective that interestingly applies way beyond just IT.
Oh, really? So manufacturing, services?
Yeah, all sorts. And what's really striking is how certain ways of doing business, things that used to be seen as, signs of stability, maybe even success.
The old ways.
Exactly. They're now becoming serious liabilities. They're
Wow.
actively pushing companies towards becoming obsolete, actually.
Okay, wow. Let's unpack this then. Our source lays out four key characteristics, four things you really need to be aware of if you want to avoid getting stuck on a sinking ship, so to speak. One, the slow speed trap. Okay, first one. The first characteristic that can really signal trouble is operating at a painfully slow pace. We all know speed matters now, but what does slow actually mean for a company's viability, its future?
Well, it's a bit more insidious than just, taking ages to make a decision. The source points to perfectionism as a really key culprit here.
Perfectionism. How so?
It's not about striving for quality, which is good. It's demanding reports that have to be absolutely perfect, communication that's utterly flawless, this insistence that everyone understands everything completely before anyone dares to take action.
Okay, so analysis paralysis, basically.
Precisely. It's not just slow. It's this quest for something that's often unattainable. It bleeds away valuable time, often leads to total paralysis, and you see companies just losing direction.
Right. And the source gives examples, doesn't it?
It does, really concrete ones. Think about companies just drowning in excessive reports
You
or
weren't
tangled up in too many layers of bosses.
that superior on top of a superior thing.
Yeah, the high idea. And mountains of procedures like, approval forms that need 4 or 5 different signatures.
Ugh. That sounds exhausting just thinking about it. Like the whole system is just gummed up.
Totally.
And if you look at the bigger picture, this whole sit back and simulate approach, where every decision happens at a desk, it did work. Back in the industrial era, probably fine up until, say, the mid 2000s.
Because the risks were different then. Big physical investments.
Exactly. You wanted to minimize risk with huge capital outlays. But now, in the age of IT, AI, that strategy is just fundamentally broken. Think about a company like Amazon.
Okay.
They famously limit memos, 6 pages, and often ditch PowerPoint, even for really complex stuff. Why? To fight that inertia, to force quick, agile decisions.
So if that's the trap, this slow perfectionism, what's the way out? What's the opposite? How do companies stay fast?
Well, the solution proposed is that companies need to operate more like IT companies, fundamentally, even if they make, widgets or offer services.
So adopt that tech mindset.
Right. The core idea is agile. Think of it like building with Legos. You build small bits, you see how they work, get feedback, change course fast if needed.
Instead of designing the whole perfect skyscraper up front, exactly. It's about moving nimbly, reacting quickly to what customers want, what the market's doing,
Yeah.
and constantly working on getting faster, building that speed into your competitive edge through trying things, learning, iterating, not through perfect, slow plans. Two, the bureaucracy burden.
That Lego analogy is great for speed, but okay, what if the internal structure itself is the enemy of speed? That seems to lead right into the second red flag.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah, companies just completely bogged down in bureaucracy. We've all hit those frustrating rules, but when does it cross the line? When is it a sign the company is actually in decline?
Well, what's really insidious about bureaucracy is how it can start with good intentions, but then just take on a life of its own.
How do you mean?
Often, The roots go back to those device-centric industries, again, industrial era stuff.
Yeah.
Huge investments, right? So a single bad decision could
Yeah.
be absolutely catastrophic.
So they built checks and balances. Makes sense.
They did. Extensive verification, confirmation processes,
Yeah.
all to reduce risk. But then these processes evolved. They got codified into rigid manuals, regulations. And now, ironically, they just shackle people. They stifle innovation.
They become the goal, not the tool.
Precisely.
Uh-huh.
And there's data on this. One study found companies with high levels of internal politics, which grows directly out of the bureaucracy, actually see innovation metrics drop by something like 20%.
Wow, 20%.
Right.
That's a direct hit to the future, isn't it?
It really is. And our source mentions this amazing kind of chilling anecdote from the CIA's old Simple Sabotage Field Manual.
Sabotage manual.
Yeah.
Okay.
It apparently said something like, to win in war, impose standard corporate operating procedures on the enemy.
Get out. Seriously.
That's the quote.
Yeah.
So if bureaucracy is literally a weapon you'd use against your enemies, what does that tell you about its effect on your own company, your own teams?
That's a pretty stark image. Self-sabotage, basically.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And it raises the question, what's the real cost here? Bureaucracy creates authority, right? Rules need enforcers. And that authority, that power structure, often becomes an end in itself. It morphs directly into negative internal politics.
Ah, okay. Office politics.
Exactly. You see it when promotions, performance reviews, even who gets hired, it's driven by who you know, political maneuvering, not actual results or skills.
Which is incredibly demotivating if you're just trying to do good work.
Totally. It signals you're in a place where hard work might just not be enough. You have to play the game.
So, if that kind of rigid bureaucracy is a dead end, what does a healthy, forward-looking company do instead? How do they manage people and growth?
The key concept here is flexible HR.
Flexible HR meaning?
It means things like a culture of free appointments or maybe talent identification.
Yep.
Basically, filling new roles with the absolute best person for the job, regardless of how long they've been there.
Right, so promoting that brilliant younger person, maybe, not just waiting for Buggin's turn.
Exactly. Companies that aren't afraid to elevate high-capability people based purely on their strengths.
Yeah.
And related to that is placement based on strengths.
Okay.
Really understanding what individuals are great at, what they're maybe less suited for, and putting them in roles where they can genuinely excel and help the whole team succeed, maximizing everyone's potential. 3, the expert over-reliance syndrome.
That makes sense. A stark contrast to just rigid structures. Okay, let's pivot. The third characteristic of companies to watch out for. This one sounds a bit counterintuitive at first. It's companies that excessively rely on experts.
Right. Expertise sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the source stresses the issue isn't the expertise itself, it's the dependence. What does that actually look like, and why is that a red flag?
Often, the root cause here is something like blame avoidance.
Pass it the buck.
Pretty much. Leaders, decision makers, maybe they don't want to take responsibility for a difficult call. So they shift it. They bring in the experts. Then they can say, well, the experts told me to do this.
Okay, I can see that.
And it creates this dynamic where almost nothing can get done without some external consultant or internal expert signing off. And eventually, the boss can become the ultimate expert, right? Shutting down any real challenge or debate from the team.
Because I'm the expert, or I hired the expert.
Exactly. It becomes a closed loop. External validation, or the boss's opinion, trumps any internal critical thinking or questioning.
Which really undermines the whole idea of a knowledge worker, doesn't it? Our source defines that as someone who's always asking, what's most effective here? What really needs doing now?
Not just following orders.
Right. So if you're that knowledge worker and you're in a company that just follows the expert's decree, they're basically telling you to stop thinking, stop using your core skill.
Which is just a recipe for disengagement, for stagnation. Why bother thinking critically if it won't be heard?
Yeah.
And there's this really powerful quote the source uses from the physicist Richard Feynman.
Oh, yeah.
He said something like, it doesn't matter how beautiful your guess is. If it doesn't agree with experiment, it's wrong.
Powerful.
Isn't it? It just hammers home that evidence, results, outcomes. That's what should matter, not just someone's authority or reputation. Companies stuck in that expert-dependent mode where real debate is squashed. They're tied to that fading industrial model where knowledge flowed strictly top-down.
Not the collaborative, data-driven world we need now.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's the alternative? How do companies use knowledge well, leverage expertise without falling into that dependency trap? How do they empower everyone to think?
Well, it seems to boil down to about three key things. First, a really strong data-driven approach.
Evidence over opinion.
Right. Decisions based on actual evidence, making sure all departments are actively looking for, using, and sharing data. Second, embracing something like the plan, do, see cycle, or plan, do, learn.
Make a small plan, try it out fast.
Exactly. Execute quickly, then focus intensely on the feedback, on what you learned. That iterative process, like you see in lean startup methods, it's crucial for ongoing growth.
Right.
You learn by doing, quickly.
And the third thing?
Fostering a genuine culture of debate.
Ooh, that sounds potentially messy.
It can feel like it, but it's vital. Healthy disagreement, challenging ideas.
Hmm.
It needs to be seen as essential for getting to better answers, not as, conflict or being disloyal. 4, the transparency void.
Okay, a culture of debate. That leads us nicely into the final characteristic of a company that might be headed for trouble, one that risks disappearing. And that's a lack of transparency.
Yeah, this one feels pretty fundamental.
It does, especially around ethics, right?
No.
But what are we looking for here beyond just, the massive scandals you read about?
Well, the source really highlights that a critical absence of transparency, particularly when it involves ethical issues, however small they seem, is a major red flag.
And why does it happen?
Often the root cause is this kind of inflated sense of we're perfect or we know best, a kind of organizational pride that leads them to neglect basic transparent management.
Because admitting problems would tarnish the image.
Something like that. And it's not just about the big stuff, the cover-ups. It starts subtly. A lack of openness in just day-to-day operations, a reluctance to admit mistakes or talk about areas needing improvement, that nothing to see here attitude. It slowly poisons the well.
Okay. And what are the knock-on effects? When that transparency is missing, how does it actually damage the company, make it vulnerable?
If you trace it, that lack of openness can easily escalate. Small, ignored tasks or problems can fester, become structural issues, and eventually, yeah, they can lead to financial problems. But critically, it destroys trust.
Internally and externally.
Both. And internally, it often fosters this collective defense logic. People start hiding mistakes, getting defensive if criticized, rather than just owning it and learning from it.
So no accountability.
Exactly. And that kind of culture makes genuine learning, genuine improvement, almost impossible. The company becomes brittle, resistant to the changes it probably needs to make.
So how do companies build that transparency? Is it just about having rules and policies?
Rules help, but it's deeper than that. Thriving companies often invest in systems, sure, systems that let lots of people see and check information, multi-person reviews, shared data.
Okay.
But even without fancy systems, a strong culture can achieve it through just open communication. Think about genuine town hall meetings.
Not just the CEO talking at people.
No, exactly. Not just formal announcements. Real spaces where actual problems can be brought up openly, where different opinions are actually welcomed and discussed. That's how you build the trust and openness needed to tackle issues head-on before they become existential threats. The path forward. GI way.
Okay, you've painted a pretty clear picture of the warning signs, the characteristics that suggest a company might be on the decline, maybe heading towards disappearing. But what about the flip side? What does the opposite look like? What defines a company that is built for the future? One that avoids these traps?
Well, our source actually pulls these positive traits together under a single concept. They call it the GIG way.
GIG way, like a gig economy job.
Not quite like that. Think GIG more in the sense of someone with, like, a genius spark, maybe a bit eccentric, but driven by a really clear philosophy, a strong culture, specific methods.
Okay.
So GIG Way Company embodies that. It's willing to take calculated risks, financial ones included, because it's constantly focused on evolving, on developing itself. Apparently, this idea is explored more in a book actually called Gigway. It's presented as a kind of blueprint for resilience.
Interesting. A resilient, evolving company. So what are the core behaviors? What are the norms that define this GIG way, these characteristics of future-proof companies?
Our source identifies 4 key behavioral norms. First, a scientific approach.
Like we discussed, data, evidence.
Exactly, relying on evidence and data, not just blindly trusting experts or going with gut feelings, grounding decisions in reality. Second, an ownership mentality.
Empowering people.
Yes, making everyone feel motivated, giving them initiative, making them feel like real stakeholders in the company's success, not just cogs in a machine.
Okay, 2 more.
Third, a focus on speed-centric operations. Prioritizing that rapid execution, making quick corrections rather than getting stuck chasing unattainable perfection. Constant adaptation.
Anti-life.
Fundamentally, yes. And finally, openness.
Transparency and debate.
Precisely. Embracing diverse opinions, actively cross-checking ideas, developing better strategies through real collaboration, and having that willingness to constantly challenge the status quo. These four things together, they create this virtuous cycle of innovation and adaptation.
Scientific approach, ownership, speed, and openness. That sounds like a really powerful and quite practical framework, something anyone could use, really, whether you're building your career or trying to guide your own organization. Not just about survival, but actually aiming to excel, even when things feel uncertain. Outro. So today we've really taken a deep dive into those characteristics, the signs that a company might be struggling, maybe even heading towards obsolescence in the future. From that trap of slow perfectionism, stifling bureaucracy, the dangers of relying too much on experts, and that critical lack of transparency.
These are definitely the red flags to watch out for, whether you're an employee, a leader, even an investor looking at a company.
Absolutely. But we also looked at the countermodel, right? That GIG way.
Yeah, emphasizing that scientific approach, real ownership, speed, and genuine openness. And these aren't just, nice ideas on paper. They're actionable principles.
Tools you can use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tools to help you build sustainable growth, find a more fulfilling career path, and spot or create those environments where you and the company can genuinely thrive. It's not just about dodging failure. It's about actively engineering success.
And remember, especially when things feel economically uncertain, it's often those people with real skills, sharp judgment, and that willingness to challenge how things are done, they're the ones who really shine.
That's very true.
So thinking about everything we've discussed, what really stands out to you? How might you apply some of these insights, maybe in your own career or perhaps in the organization you're part of now?
Food for thought.
Definitely. We really hope this deep dive encourages you not to kind of shrink back from the challenges you might see, but maybe to boldly champion a new way forward, a new dimension of success.